Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you, MC. Good morning, everyone. Semangat pagi. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay, our panel for today is part of CIFP 2023. So again, welcome to all of you. Before I start, I would like to ask the crowded and enthusiastic audience here, where do you come from, guys? Are you coming from Jakarta? Yes, please raise your hand who come all the way outside Java. Wow, one. Only one? 2, 3. Wow, welcome to our session. Thank you for joining our session for today. I also have one other question to you all. Since we're going to talk about the Global South, the popular terminology that we have just listened recently from many medias, I would like to ask to you, do you think Indonesia can play its role in the Global South? Please raise your hand who are optimistic about Indonesia play a big role in the Global South. Please raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, almost all of them. All right. Please give applause for all of us. Okay. Thank you. All right, my name is Penny Hanggarini, and I'm very pleased to be the moderator for today's session. We are going to discuss the topic of Indonesia in a changing world order. So we will try to make a mapping about the Global South in international system, and importantly, we will try to situate Indonesia's response to the rise of the Global South. We are very pleased that we have 4 distinguished speakers with us now who will share their insights on this topic. So at the end of our session, we can have a better understanding about Global South and importantly, its relations to our Indonesian foreign policy. Without further ado, I would like to invite our distinguished speakers to join. Please welcome our first speaker, His Excellency Ambassador Jayant Khobragate, Ambassador of India to ASEAN. Please welcome Mr. Ambassador. Thank you. The second speaker is Bapak Andi Wijayanto, Senior Advisor to Lab 45 and also Governor of the National Resilience Institute of Lemhanas from 2022 to 2023. Selamat datang Bapak, silakan duduk, please have a seat. Yes, thank you. The third speaker is Dato Abdul Majid, President of the Malaysia-China Friendship Association, PPMC, and His Excellency Ambassador is Ambassador of Malaysia to the People's Republic of China from 1998 to 2005. Welcome, Bapak Dato Abdul Majid. And the fourth speaker is Ambassador Sumadi Brotodiningrat, FPCI Senior Fellow and Indonesian's Ambassador to the United States from 2002 to 2005. Welcome, Mr. Ambassador. I would like to thank our panelists to accept our invitations to speak on today's topic, Indonesia in a Changing World Order. Please give another round of applause to our panelists. Thank you. Well, ladies and gentlemen and distinguished speakers, I think our topic in this panel is important and also timely because in the 21st century, we started to witness the rise of what many call as the Global South. Global South is also projected to reach 35% of global GDP in 2030. 2030. Some analysts also argue that the Global South might represent a legitimate challenge to the status quo of unipolar world order. So our discussion will be centered on our topic for today. We will discuss, can the Global South reshape the international system? Which countries will lead the Global South, and what are their plans? And the important questions also, how does Indonesia fit in this emerging international system dynamics? I hope our distinguished speakers can cover all of these questions in our limited time in the next 90 minutes. If there is still time left, I will give the floor for the questions and answer session. So I would like to start. I would like to begin with the introductory remark from all the speakers. I will start from the first speaker and then move on to the next speaker. I would like to ask the first question, the first opportunity to give introductory remark to His Excellency Jayan Kobrat. His Excellency, Mr. Ambassador, can you please give us your overall view about the Global South?
So thank you so much, Dr. Penny. Namaskar, Salamat Pagi, very good morning. First of all, seeing, so many youth sitting in this hall, that is a sign of optimism. That also indicates the bright future for the Global South. I am really impressed by the composition of the panel and the response which we have received. Now I'll first make my introductory remarks on the theme. The theme is, can Global South reshape the international system? That is the question posed to us by the organizers. So let me start with a quote of Honorable External Affairs Minister of India, that is Foreign Minister, Dr. S. Jaishankar. He was speaking in the different context, but I think that quote might be relevant here also. He said that Europe thinks that Europe's problems are world's problems. Europe thinks that Europe's problems are world's problems, but the world's problems are not Europe's problems. So that exactly is happening for in case of Global South. That can be extended to the Global South, that the issues of Global South are not heard by the developed world, or we can say the North. We took the G20 presidency from Indonesia last year. So the Troika was constituted by India, Indonesia, and upcoming Brazil, who have taken the presidency from 1st of December. But when we took over, Honorable Prime Minister of India said that our G20 priorities will be shaped in consultation with not just our G20 partners, but also our fellow travelers from Global South, whose voice often goes unheard. Our leadership ensured that voice of those from the Global South, which is not heard at the high table, so that should also be heard. So India, in that context, held two Voice of Global South summits. First in January, where 125 countries participated, and the second Voice of Global South Summit was held in November, just 2 weeks back, 2023, just 2 weeks back. And if you look at the participation of ASEAN member states, so if you look at both the summits, so all 10 members, and including Timor-Leste, participated in the deliberations. So what is the biggest challenge? Of course, they discussed many things. I will, share that information with the audience, because that is the first-hand information about the Global South. So the most important thing, they talked about reforming the multilateral system, because the multilateral system, including United Nations Security Council, etc., they were constituted in mid-40s last century. Now, many decades have passed, so they need to be reformed. So that was the most important, point which came through. That, it should address the contemporary issues. It should, fit for the today's purpose. So that was, one of the most important point which came across. They also, on the political aspects, the leaders also highlighted respecting national sovereignty, independence, equality, non-interference in domestic affairs, etc. Now, giving another example of Global South, the COP28 had taken place in Dubai just yesterday. Now, if you look at the discussion which happens on the climate change, there is a distinct divide. There is a developed world, there is a developing world. So developing world, basically it's a global south. And there is one very important aspect, that how do we address this issue of climate change? It is common but differentiated responsibility, because polluters are basically the developed world, and we, the developing world, the global south, we suffer. So we came together and we have negotiated this term. So common but differentiated responsibility, and keeping in view the national capabilities. So these are two broad examples of how global south can come together and reshape the international system. So with this I will stop. Thank you so much, Dr. Penny.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ambassador. His Excellency has already explained his views on the Global South. Let's hear for our second speaker. Please, Bapak Andi Wijayanto, could you please give your introduction remark on our topic?
Okay, I will start my remark with one provocative sentence. There are no South countries located in the south of Indonesia. Geographically speaking, only Australia, the ocean, Antarctic, located in the south of Indonesia. So this must provoke our thought, why India, northwest of Indonesia, we call it South Asia. Why we don't call it Northwest Asia for India? South part of India is only the ocean. No countries located in the south of India. So why we call ourselves South? Because the 0 point of our compass is London. The term Global South represents the legacy of colonialization. The term Global South represents the legacy of British Empire. That's why Indonesia, it is characterized as part of Southeast Asia. Southeast from London. Yeah. I was governor of Lemhanas 2022 until 2023. Lemhanas established in 65 by President Sukarno to study geopolitics. And Lemhanas came out in 1968 with one terminology, very specific terminology to define geopolitics. We call it Wawasan Nusantara. Wawasan Nusantara try to put Jakarta as the central point of our map. So we should call, for example, Japan not as East Asia, but as North Asia. We will call Africa as West Africa. South Africa is for us West Africa. So it is very important to put ourselves in the central part so we can see the other part of the world, using our perspective, not using London perspective. That's my first point. If we see the what so-called Global South country, what Global South country represent? First, colonialization, British Empire. That's the first representative of Global South. The second one is poverty. That's why the most important issue if we talk about Global South is the right to develop. The third one is the problem of institutional building, the problem of democracy, including for Indonesia. All the Global South countries, most of the Global South countries, categorized as fragile state. Yeah. The most corruptive regime in the world, Global South. Yeah, that's our problem. But we also have opportunity. First, Global South means critical minerals. Global South means water. Global South means sun, solar. That's our opportunity. Global South also means maritime connectivity. Yeah, we have to try to think how to connect India with Tanzania, with Africa, South Africa, with Nigeria, with Argentina, with Brazil, with Papua New Guinea, and finally with Indonesia. Yeah. To connect Global South, it means we have to build maritime global connectivity. Yeah. That's Global South for me. So to answer the question proposed by FPGI, can Global South replace unipolar world? No. Is there any country that can lead Global South? No. None. Do Global South have very concrete plan to give the right development for all the southern states? No. The last plan was the Havana Convention. Yeah, that will be my next topic in this session. The Havana Convention discuss technology, discuss digital divide, discuss technology monopoly. It means we have to challenge US and Western Europe. We have to challenge Apple, we have to challenge iPhone, we have to challenge Samsung, we have to challenge Cisco, Siemens, Nokia. We have to challenge all of those technology. And I believe all the audience here, if I try to check the brand of the mobile phone, myself, Samsung, Apple, iPhone, and so on. So how we challenge
Taruh di mana?
iPhone,
Atau
Apple,
disendiriin aja?
Samsung, and so on. Very, very difficult. So in the moment, it will be very, very hard for us combining our power together, like Pak Anies said, collaborate. Yeah. Collaborate for me means let's work with our enemy. That's collaboration. Cooperation, let's work with our friend.
Yes.
Collaborate works with our enemy. We have to collaborate together with the North, yeah, to press the North, give us the right to develop. That's my opening remark. Thank you.
Interesting. Big applause for our second speaker. Thank you, Pandi. I will move on to the third speaker. Please, Dato Abdul Majid, to give your opening remarks on our topic.
Thank you, Dr. Penny. First of all, I would like to thank the organizer, in particular, the organizer for inviting me to this very impressive and very huge convention and very youth and people-centric. Congratulations. I'd like to just give you 2 or 3 points to answer the question whether the Global South can really reshape the international system. Actually, this is a big question. I think, as mentioned by the earlier speaker, we need to define reshape or change. Because, you know, if you really were talking about change, I think there's no way that we can change. And I think the idea of Global South in requesting for reform is not to change the existing system. There are many good points in the existing system, the United Nations, the IMF, the World Bank. But maybe actually wanting more concessions so that the rights, the legitimate rights of the South is well reflected in the international world order. If that's the case, I think there's a possibility, but it depends very much on actually the agenda, on the strategy and the mechanism of the South. Because if you look at past record, the global South has both weaknesses and strength. First of all, it does not comprise one homogeneity type of countries. Actually, it ranges from the very poor, from the developing, and to the newly industrialized country. So there are some differences there. And secondly, from our record, there's a lack of unity in advancing the South. To me, there are only too many rhetorics. Some of the resolution as in past in the various international forum has been too much of rhetoric and not very focused agenda. You compare this with the North. The North actually protected and promote their interests very closely and neatly. They actually have one voice in over all the forums to ensure their interests are protected. So these are the witness. But of course, the South has also strength because they are actually, consisting of leaders that wanted to improve the lot. We wanted a fairer share of global development, more fairness, and these are actually intangible motivation. And I think the timing is right now. In the changing world, part of this theme of this conference, we see actually emerging new world today in terms of one, the shift of wealth or economic power has moved from the West to Asia, to the East. And that many of the countries in Asia today has become a strong manufacturing base, part of the global power supply system. We have all the resources, that are critical to development. And also that we have many platforms now. They are actually active in voicing this concern of South. We have actually ASEAN, we have G20, and of course recently we have BRICS in a way. So these are platforms that actually can support and help the voice of the South. So finally, it depends how effective we could be. If we can be united, then it's a good way forward. And one of the issue, sorry Mr. Ambassador from India, I think India and China need to find some solution to their differences. Because, it's always been China, India that has actually put the spanner in some of the efforts of the global South because of their divergent interests. But I'm sure with the wisdom of India and the wisdom of China, we could find ways for the interests of the world. Because I think given the current chaotic world situation full of uncertainty, I think it's good that the world actually unites. And I also agree with the speaker from Indonesia that we should not view the South as antagonistic to the North or to the existing system. We are not going to replace. I think the word is actually cooperation. The forward move is more cooperation and less division for the good of everybody. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. Terima kasih, Dato Abdul Majid, for your opening remark. Now, I would like to ask Ambassador Sumadi Brotodiningrat to give your introductory remark, please.
Thank you very much. It's very difficult to speak after such eloquent speakers before me. But then I would like to respond to the first question that being asked to me, which is how to define the global South. But before that, I have listened carefully to what my colleagues at the podium have spoken. I agree with all what Pa Andi said except one. That Pa Andi said there's nothing south of Indonesia. We have one very precious belonging, which is Ratu Kidul, a very beautiful,
Okay.
beautiful queen in Ratu Kidul, which still live and well up to now.
Excellent.
Sorry, this is to deflect on the question that I'm incapable to answer. Actually, I cannot answer when people ask now, what your definition of South, of Global South? I say I cannot. But instead, I would like to share with you my understanding of the South as I experienced personally in the past. The South, which I'm familiar, is the one that was once embodied in the group of 77, and after the joining of China in the group, it's called the group of 77 and China. And I don't know why China still wanted that the name China is being singled out. This is still an enigma for me. But now the official name is the group of 77 and China. This is a well-defined group established more than 60 years ago with the current identified membership of 134 countries. It's very clear what is defined by the South. It is 134 countries which is joining together in a group called Group of 77 and China. This group is also still recognized by the UN, and in many exercises, debates and forums, it is given the status of the spokesman of the South. So again, it's very clear. Very recently, as Pa Andy has mentioned also, this group of 77 in China has a big conference in Cuba, in Havana. And I don't think that many of you noticed about this conference, let alone that this conference is organized by the group of 77 in China. That's why I feel it's important to share with you that actually there is a precise definition of the South as I knew it at the time. But again, come back to the first question. If now I have to define what is the Global South now, I cannot define. One thing is clear, that all the group of 77 in China are part of the Global South. But I think not those who claim to be part of Global South is or are already in the group of 77. Second point that I would like to share with you is to answer question why? Why and what is causing the surge of the Global South phenomenon that now we are witnessing? Why suddenly, after being forgotten for quite a number of years, now suddenly there is a surge of this Global South movement? In my view, there are three of them. One is the shifting of the geopolitical balance between what the then called North and the South. And this shift is, as you know, or at least you can sense it, is in favor, relatively in favor of the South. This is especially happening with the rapid growth and development of the South countries in Asia, and especially China, India, and the ASEAN countries, which are growing well above the world average of economic growth. So this fact, this shifting weight and the shifting in the geopolitical weight gave more leverage to the South in facing the North. This is one. And the second, different from the then bipolarization of East and West, which was very much weighted by military, ideological and military forces, ideological and military power. Currently, the role of economy in the balancing weight of the geopolitical is much more than ideological.
Yes.
So you have a more economic factor influencing the weight of the geopolitical balance now. And with the relative increase of the South economically, then of course the weight of the South in geopolitical balance is increasing.
Okay, all right.
And the third
Yes.
is the impact of the COVID-19 pandemics, not only on health, but also on the socio-economic life in the developing world, is an eye-opener on how the overall inequality that existed long before between the North and the South has been worsening.
Right.
This, together with the problems surrounding the handling of the environmental and climate change problems, makes this injustice even more felt by the South. One more thing, if I may, moderator,
Yes, please.
is that this change, as I have explained, means also the increasing inequalities in wealth and prosperity within the South.
Within the South. All right.
Within the South.
Yes.
The one who enjoyed the growth above the world average, and those other developing countries who still lagging behind even compared to the average of the growth rate.
Okay.
And this is important to take note so as to avoid that the newly economic power of the South will not forget. In Indonesia we call it kacang jangan
Kulitnya.
melupakan
Kulitnya.
kulitnya.
Yes, that's right.
So with this, I
Yes.
would like to give back
All right.
of my
Okay.
to the moderator. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you, Ambassador Sumadi, for your explanations. Well, our distinguished speakers have already mentioned their insight, their views on the global South. As we listen to them, the first speaker, His Excellency Jayan, mentions that there is a chance to reform the international system from the global South. And the second speaker, Pak Andi, gave us a provoking thought on whether the term is actually represent colonialization. This is interesting. And then also the third speaker raised the issues about that global South is actually a heterogeneous group. This is also a point that maybe we can discuss. And Ambassador Sumadi also mentions that it is not easy to explain the global South. I think I agree, and I think some of you also agree, because there are some issues related to the terminology. So now I would like to discuss further about this definition, and I would like to ask, I think, the first speaker, Ambassador Jan, could you please briefly explain what is actually the global South? Because looks like this popular terminology replaced what we have already known as developing, the West and the East, and also first, second, or the third tier, something like that. And also, we also heard that Australia and Japan belong to the north, and while Mexico belongs to the south. So this is a confusing terminology. Could you please explain your definitions about this, please?
Yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Penny, and thank you so much, my fellow panelists. I think this is a very challenging question, but we have to understand it comprehensively. It's not only a geographic concept. The global South is, of course, geographical. It is geopolitical, as Pa India has said. It is historical and also a developmental concept. So we have to see it in all its dimension. Of course, there will be some exception, like Australia, New Zealand, etc. So those exceptions will be there. Most of the countries from South, they had been colonized at some point of time, but that has brought us together. Mahatma Gandhi became an inspiring figure, not only in India, but in many countries in Africa, those who were fighting their freedom struggle. Post-independence, this Bandung Conference happened. Then came, non-aligned movement. And then, the terminology of South-South cooperation, North-South divide, that has started becoming prevalent. Of course, some provocative thoughts have been put forward that, this world will remain unipolar and, leadership can't come from global South. I have some views on that, When we became independent in 1947, when we achieved our independence, in 16th century, in 17th century, India's contribution to the global GDP was 25%. But because of the colonial model of, taking resources from us and, giving finished product, selling finished product to us, the economy has started coming down. When we became independent, it was 2.2% of its contribution to global economy was 2.2% of the world's GDP. Now, just 10 years back, we were 10th largest economy. Today, we are 5th largest economy. We have overtaken our colonizer. We have, overtaken. Now, UK is the 6th largest. We have come ahead of that. So I am full of optimism. Why? Because, the global South is full of resources. Not only just mineral resources. Look at the human capital. Look at the young population. I have a lot of hopes in you. Look at the education system, in India. Now you look at, whether it is Google, whether it is Microsoft, whether it is Adobe, even the World Bank president, they are coming from Indian education system. In fact, Dr. Ajay Banga, who is president of World Bank, he says that he is Make in India product because, he has studied. So Indian education system, that is the education system from South, is touching everyone's life, whether he is from North, she is from North, she is from South, he is from South. So that is what, the optimism, which I have about the global South. So, I have spoken about the political aspect in my introductory remark. There are developmental issues. Pa India is absolutely right that, we have to focus on eradication of poverty. And that has to be achieved, and it has to be achieved probably collectively. And what do we do for that? So we focus on what? Education, for example. So education has to be such that it is, it creates human resource which is future ready. Another issue, which was discussed in the Global South Summit was financing. Now, for entrepreneurs, that finance has to come. For that finance to come, we have to also, focus on reforming international financing architecture. Then there is a health, you look at the vaccine Maitri. India not only, produced but developed its vaccine. It went to more than 100 countries in the world. The country is, maybe 5,000 kilometers away. The first vaccine which they received, they were Indian vaccines, while their neighbor were stockpiling vaccines, but it didn't come from them. This is, the South-South partnership, the kind of, expression, the expression of gratitude, which is, shared by the leaders of those countries with us. It is really heartwarming and heart-touching. Another issue is the global supply chains. We talk about, the disruption of global supply chains, etc. Now the global South has to come up to become the part of the value chain. So that's the challenge, and that's why, we are developing our potential. Technology is another important aspect. While we develop technology, we develop, digital public platforms, etc., we also have to ensure that it is accessible to everyone. And of course, the participation of women in this entire process. So this is also important. So all these issues have been discussed during the Voice of Global South Summit. In fact, the Global South terminology has become so popular that one of the think tanks in India, Observers Research Foundation, his chairman jocularly said that when he travels in Europe, then, many European countries, they also say that we also belong to South, And I have heard, even a minister from Portugal who was sharing a panel with my minister, he also said, look, we are in the south of north of Europe, of North Europe. So that's how, it is becoming popular. I would also, like to share an anecdote with all of you. Like, that in August 2023, India launched a mission to moon. India became the 4th country in the world to send a mission to moon, and the first country to land on the south of moon. At that time, our leadership was in South Africa for BRICS summit. And in that summit, when they entered into the hall, everyone shook my Prime Minister's hand. Why? Because everyone thought that it is, their success. It is the success of humanity. It is success of global South that India could launch a mission to moon. So in my view, that, we don't have to have a precise definition of global South. It is a mindset. And intuitively people know that who belongs to the global South. So I would like to say that global South is a set of aspirational countries, it's a state of optimistic countries, and it's a set of confident countries which are looking for the bright future for the global public good. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you all. Wow. Now we have understand the meaning of the terminology of global South from your perspective. You mentioned about the BRICS. His Excellency Jayan mentions about the BRICS. So I would like to ask Pandi, do you think BRICS and the new partners can represent a movement to shape the world order, do you think?
Now the economic size of BRICS already bigger than all the G7 combined together.
Exactly, yes.
The question is, can BRICS replace the foundation of what I call US hegemony? The foundation of US hegemony: first, military alliance, NATO; second, nuclear weapon; third, democracy; fourth, United Nations; fifth, World Bank and International Monetary Fund; sixth, free trade; seven, the most important one, US dollar. Can BRICS replace those pillars of US hegemony? The answer, it will take a very, very long time.
Okay.
Yeah. BRICS, the intra-trade of BRICS is still lower than the inter-trade between BRICS countries with the G7. Yeah, for example, not only with G7, compare the BRICS inter-trade BRICS country with the US is much bigger than the intra-trade inside the BRICS country. So what usually happen when we try those pillars of hegemony? Yeah, I study hegemonic transition in whole my academic career from 1990 until now. And I found since the year 0 until now, we experienced 17 times hegemonic transition. Yeah, from Roman Empire to the Pacific War to the Second World War between Nazi German, Japan against US and its allies. From this 17 hegemonic transition, 16 of them, there was a very big regional or even world war. The only method to completely change very fast hegemonic pillar, war. Without war, then this hegemonic pillar will strengthen by the innovative capability of now US to always make significant modification. Yeah, for example, to strengthen free trade, US suddenly introduced Indo-Pacific Economic Framework. Yeah, to strengthen US position in World Bank, IMF, and so on. Yeah, US try to introduce the new concept of development. Yeah, combining the conventional concept of development means poverty reduction, for example, with green economy. Yeah, always innovation. That's the main thesis of Paul Kennedy, the rise and fall of great power. Hegemonic countries can only maintain its position of global power if the hegemonic can always find a way to innovate. Innovation is the key for the global power to maintain its position. Now, BRICS, the question of BRICS. Can BRICS replace the unipolar moment established by the US since the Cold War? Can BRICS become the next polar? So how many polars are we going to have? US, BRICS, Russia, India? Are we going to create a multipolar world? The question, who will be the next polar? Who will be the next great power? Yeah, for me, polarity, especially bipolar, unipolar, if we want to change bipolar and unipolar, the fastest method throughout history was war. Of course, we do not want war. So we have to find another way.
Yes.
But do we really want to try to challenge polarity, creating a new polar, yeah, that will create different problem? Yeah. Shall we focus on better method? For example, do not focus on the word polar. Focus on the word multilateralism. Yes. So I don't care if bipolar, unipolar, or multipolar, as long the method of multilateralism is the main method for us to strengthen cooperation. Yeah. For example, for Global South. Yeah, the question of Global South is not the question whether Indonesia or China or India will be the next great power, the next hegemonic in the next 50 or 100 years. That's not the question. The question for me is how we strengthen multilateralism that can create global connectivity, that can create global supply chain. Yeah, for example, how we strengthen multilateralism that can eradicate poverty in the Global South. How can we strengthen multilateralism, yeah, that can make sure that our democracy, yeah, will endure, then the democratic transition for Global South to become major democracy, like for example India, will happen in the next 20 or 30 years. So I think BRICS is interesting concept,
Right.
but if BRICS is used to challenge hegemonic pillar of US, the 7 hegemonic pillars of US, it will be very, very difficult task ahead. Thank you.
All right. Okay. Thank you, Pandi, for your explanation. Yes. Following to what you said, so what do you think about Indonesia? How should Indonesia respond to the BRICS? Do we have to stick on our pragmatic hedging strategy, just like what we have in decades?
I am also lecturer at University of Indonesia. When I give exam to my student, I ask my student not to use the word free and active foreign policy. I forbid them to use the word free and active. So our student can try to find the new concept. Not I am challenging or I am objecting the concept of free and active foreign policy, but I said to my student, if you answer the question with free and active foreign policy, I cannot say you are wrong. You are right, absolutely right. Yeah, but I need something more than just free and active. So do not use the concept, the word free and active to answer my question on foreign policy. I always ask my student that. If they dare to use the concept free and active, -5. Deducted 5 points.
Okay. -5, it's a big point.
So again, what will be Indonesian position? Yeah. I don't believe, genuinely I don't believe that Indonesia can be the leader of Global South now. Not yet. Yeah. The best proposal for Indonesia is to provide a new initiative.
Okay.
The new initiative for Indonesia, for me, 2 things. First, maritime connectivity. Maritime connectivity between Nigeria, Argentina, Brazil, Indonesia. That's the first one. Indonesia, India, and then Tanzania. The global maritime connectivity in our southern hemisphere. That's the first one. And then this global maritime connectivity must be able to provide a new kind of global supply chain. Global South supply chain. Pak Luhut Panjaitan, as Menko Maritime, in our international event at Lemhanas, I think 6-7 months ago, he already proposed the word Global South Maritime Connectivity. I think that was the first time for him as the Menko Maritime using the word South Maritime Connectivity. Now our challenge is how to make it work. How to connect Tanjung Perak, Tanjung Priok with Singapore, with Pasir Panjang, and then to South Africa and so on. We have to be able to find commodities that will move in this maritime corridor. The best commodities for us right now is critical mineral. Is the raw commodities. Not good enough. That's why we need a kind of global supply chain. We need a kind of downstreaming industrialization process, integrating the supply chain between Africa, South America, East Asia, and also South America. It will be a long and hard project. But if we not start now, then especially the African state and the South American state will not be able to accelerate their economic growth because they will be trapped to become the only exporter of raw commodity.
All right, thank you so much, Pak Andi. That was an Indonesian perspective on what Indonesia should do. Now I would like to ask our third speaker, Dato Abdul Majid. Dato, what do you think about this? Can you give a suggestion or recommendation? What should Indonesia do with the BRICS? How should Indonesia respond to that? Maybe you can share your view. Yes.
Firstly, I fully agree with all the points raised by Pak Hadi on the BRICS, the characteristics, and also, he mentioned about Indonesia's priority. I'd like to add a few additional points.
Okay.
One, I think BRIC is in a very formative stage. It's not very clear on its agenda whether it's going to be more economic or it's going to be more geopolitical. Though what we have seen in the last 1 or 2 years seems to be a combination, and they have been quite active on geopolitical. They have come out with statements on Ukraine and recently on Palestine. And that's one thing we have to take account of. Then secondly, also, we have to consider what type of benefits for, say, a country like Indonesia joining BRICS. I think there are some merits that Indonesia having a role, a more stronger role in BRICS. I base this on 1 or 3 points. One, basically, there has been comments in the media about BRICS in Indonesia, where it's stated that there are some intentions of Indonesia looking at BRIC. It has potentials as well as opportunities, but equally there are also implications. So I think overall that seems to be the direction. But if Indonesia were able to play an active role in BRICS, and I strongly feel that Indonesia, the time has come to Indonesia to have a stronger international profile.
Okay.
Indonesia has a basic economic foundation now. I think most people in Malaysia and to many people that I've spoken to, Indonesia's economic and geopolitical trajectory is very strong, and people are optimistic about future role of Indonesia. This could be one of the motivation. And today also, the theme of this conference 203 has been actually creative alignment from non-alignment. Means you can seek opportunities in the many platforms that have been created for one's own interest. But a point that is mentioned is important, and I think Indonesia can play a role if it is part of BRIC to steer BRIC out of this very confrontational and ideological, entity. I think there's no way that you can take up the North or the US upright. The hegemonistic power is strong, and that is not the right way. So Indonesia, with its moderate role, and Indonesia is now being good by both the West and the East, could play an influencing role to carry some of the noble objectives of BRIC for the interests of the South. So perhaps looking unbalanced, and also it's good that Indonesia would represent ASEAN, and in addition to Indonesia's own active role in ASEAN, in G20, and today we were told Indonesia will accede to OECD and also playing a role in the Indo-Pacific Economic Framework. And I think having another platform that has the idea of a multipolarity, stance could bring some positive impact. Thank you.
Yes, okay, thank you. Dato has a very positive view about Indonesia can also take part in Global South. Okay, thank you so much. Now I would like to ask further questions to Ambassador Sumadi. You mentioned about the heterogeneous type of group in this Global South. I want to ask, what do you think about which one is more effective, whether the South-South cooperations or North-South cooperation? For example, the APEC Dialogue Forum. Can you discuss about that? Is it better to have a South-South cooperations or North-South cooperation? Because many people say that in Global South, actually, they don't know what they are looking for or they are struggling for. Is it true about that? Please, can you explain?
Well, yes. This is actually will connect with what our colleagues here have
Dato
just
said, yes.
mentioned.
Yes.
Even the latest statement by Dato Majid is that it's better to have multiple forums
Multiple forums.
instead of just having two, G7 versus BRICS. This I fully agree. Because again, if the new Global South will mean just two big forums, strong forums being asked to transact bilaterally, I'm afraid it's going to be bipolarism that gave us a traumatic experience in the past.
Right.
So, but before coming to that,
Okay.
I would like to remind also all of us
Yes, please.
on the difference between North-South dialogue during my time and now.
Okay. There's a difference. Yeah.
One is that at the time,
Okay.
my task was made easier
All right.
because of the fact
Yes.
that at that time, the dialogue like this is done exclusively by government officials.
In limited setting. Yeah.
Right.
Right. Okay.
Now, the role with the democratization and so, the role of business sector, be it of private or state-owned, whatever, business sector, and also the role of civil society,
Yes.
NGOs, in the decision-making process of democracy like this,
Yes.
is a fact of life. And it makes any negotiations like this
Right.
much more complicated.
Yes.
Much more complicated. That's why, I am for the, it is our experience. First, let me just give an example with ASEAN.
Okay.
ASEAN is our cornerstone in our foreign policy,
Correct.
and I still bet whoever elected in our next president, they will continue to use ASEAN as a cornerstone of our foreign policy.
Correct. Yes.
We will continue, of course, as member, as a part of the Global South, doing together with others, but we will not agree if it means we have to abandon ASEAN.
Okay. Yes.
The answer is no.
Yeah.
And how to do this? Of course, many things can be done. And I think our colleagues here know that ASEAN actually has successfully created a network of partnership, including with the North.
Okay.
So we don't have to be shy
Right.
in cooperating. Now, his choice is collaborating with the North,
Yes.
because it is also there that we can also advance the interest of developing countries. So this is the fact that we are in the same forum
Right.
with the other side doesn't mean that we cannot advance the interest of
Correct.
the developing countries.
Correct. Yes.
So this is something, and perhaps APEC is more or less the same.
The same. Yes. Just like Asia.
So, and I think it's now time to see the reality that North-South confrontations could be added. Confrontations will still be there, because there are still a lot of issues in which we have to confront them squarely. But in the new, there are a lot of new facts of life
Okay.
that we have opportunity to mutually beneficial collaboration with whatever partner.
Okay.
And of course, the come back to BRICS is that if we assign BRICS, who are the members? I still remember for how many years?
Right.
More than 15 years,
Yes.
Russia is part of G8. part of the North.
Yes.
It's only very recently, because of the Ukraine problem, Russia was kicked out from G8.
Yes.
And now it's in the BRICS. Of course. We are friends with all the
Members.
members of the BRICS,
Yes, sure.
including Russia,
Uh-huh.
and the new member, yes. But I still, like Dato Majid, prefer to see that BRICS is perhaps one of the good forum to do, but
But
so other forums
So
should be mobilized
right.
to,
Okay.
Get to realize the aspirations and to have to realize the interest
Yes.
of the global south. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Ambassador Sumadi, for your explanation. Maybe I will follow up your answer to questions to Dato. I'm interested to know, despite what the Indonesia has been the initiator of non-aligned movement, and also our diplomats have already made a lot of significant progress on diplomacy and stuff. Do you think that Indonesia is unnoticed in global South or South-South cooperation? I need to know your opinion on that.
Okay, I think first point, I think the world recognized on Indonesia's role in the formation of the non-aligned movement.
Yes.
And also the chemistry that Sukarno and also Nehru had at that time. They were able actually to mobilize the countries under colonization,
Okay.
and then leading to non-aligned movement.
Correct.
But of course, that was a different geopolitical era. Now, coming to recently, I think Indonesia should not be worried about role, because I think you have played an active role in ASEAN, in G20. But I think going forward, role of Indonesia is really something that is looked upon, or something that is actually required. First, you have met actually first condition of an active foreign policy. Economically, Indonesia has done well. Your transformation, it is said that by 2030, Indonesia will be one of the 4 largest economy in the world.
Okay.
And for the last 10 years, Indonesia has managed its resources very well, added to the value add. Secondly, you have built infrastructure, communication, ports, airports. Thirdly, your e-commerce, especially retail, is very strong, creating employment and creating a lot of creativity.
Right.
And fourthly, you have actually a very strong economic and development partnership with China, which is important.
Yes.
And I'm told, the trade surplus is in Indonesia's favor.
Okay.
So with this strength, I think Indonesia's role is actually just be awakened. So
Right.
I think
Correct.
why in the past, that through period of history, the Indonesia has actually been neglected. I think basically it's because of Indonesia national policy at that time.
Right.
There are a lot of preoccupation with domestic issues, with politics. You were involved in transition to democracy, and I think you have done well into this. So I think it's time now already.
Yes.
Also in line with what we heard this morning, that Indonesia is ready actually to have a bigger role in shaping especially development in the world,
Yes.
and also the pursuit of peace and development, which also is equally important.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Dato. Thank you so much. There's still one more
Yes.
comment from you.
I
Yes.
just take advantage of this. I forgot 2 things. One is Pak Andi's statement, which I agree, on the idea of having the South global supply chains of the South. Yes, I agree. But I would like also to be realistic that
Yes.
now the nature of the global supply chains is staging upwards.
Staging, yeah, that's right.
And if we want to do downstreamizations, hilirisasi, then we cannot just jump, leapfrogging to the top.
Right.
We have to climb from
Step
the
by step, yeah.
bottom
To-
and then
Yes,
a
going
little
up.
bit of value added, adding. And unfortunately, up to now, the top are still in the hands of the North.
Okay.
And to wait until this is going somewhere else, it's going to be too long. It's the definition of leapfrogging will not be there anymore. And lastly, about the names of that Andi the of independent and active.
Yes.
And you
the
prefer
principle.
non-aligner.
Yeah.
Okay? No, I would like only just to see. Please have a look at the theme of our conference now. From non-alignment
Non-alignment to
creative
alignment. Yes.
But plural,
Yes.
creative alignment as. So this is something which you have to take to knock this off, because this is one that I fully agree. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ambassador Sumadi, to add important point here. And I think Ambassador Jayan would like to give one point
Yeah,
for this.
because thank you so much, Dr. Penny, because my panelists, co-panelists have made some comments, so I just want to respond in brief. Dr. Majid, about India-China, I understand the context, but you also have to understand, India has actually given an example that it cannot tolerate aggression. And when it meets with aggression, dialogue and diplomacy is the way. It can be applicable in South China Sea, it can be applicable anywhere,
Right.
Then, another important point about the multipolar world is that, as long as, you are able to maintain your strategic autonomy, that's what India has been doing for the decades, so then it's not a problem. When your decisions you are not able to take in your own national interest, then there's a problem. And multipolar world is a solution. We are going towards that path. I'm quite optimistic about it. Thank you so much.
Wow, part of the optimistic groups here in this room. All right, thank you so much. Unfortunately, we don't have time for question and answer session, so we would like to listen to your closing remark. First, the first speaker, could you please give your first remark, closing remark, His Excellency?
Yeah, thank you so much. I think I have spoken a lot, but here what I am trying to say, that it's not about question about replacing the existing structures. That how do we influence those structures, uniting together. That is the context, and that's how the thing should work. The brilliant example, I'm again coming back to G20. We have taken chairmanship. Presidency from Indonesia, and Brazil has now become the president. So 3 developing countries, Indonesia, India and Brazil, Troika, we have influenced the discourse of G20 in the interest of Global South. That's how we have to influence the multilateral structures, and that's the way forward. And we have taken numerous steps, on our own also, by, for example, Global South Scholarship, Global S&T Cooperation. Then we have created a platform for knowledge sharing, etc. That's the way to move forward. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. A big applause for His Excellency Jayan. Please, your closing remark, Pak Andi.
Now the biggest economic powerhouse in the world are North America, Western Europe, and East Asia. These 3 regions have one similarity: really strong optimizing the trade using the maritime corridor. North America and Europe using the Atlantic corridor, North America and East Asia using the Pacific corridor. I believe that the next step for Global South is to strengthen our maritime trade corridor. Yeah. Let's us focus, for example, in developing the supply chain, the connectivity, just in one ocean, Indian Ocean. Try to connect Africa and East Asia and South Asia by creating a maritime connectivity between Indonesia, Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, Myanmar, Pakistan, Bangladesh, India, Middle East, and then rest of Africa. If we just focus on this particular trade route, really connect the dots, and suddenly we are going to have a new maritime corridor that might be more bigger than Atlantic or Pacific corridor.
Hopefully, Bapak. Thank you. It's a very important point. Yes. Next, please,
Yeah.
your closing remark.
Yeah, thank you. We are actually living in a changing world, a very chaotic world, and very full of uncertainty. Your generation will inherit this, so I think we are just here to alert you. But the real solution will be in your generation. And actually, the focus of this uncertainty is actually the geopolitical tension between America and China. And this I will foresee that it will stretch on for many years to come. So I think for the global south, I think one of our role, while we continue to strengthen our voice, continue to promote our interests to have a more balanced and just world, using a number of platforms or existing platforms, it's important also for us to influence the development of Sino-US relation, because the relation of these two countries will affect all of us, all in the South, in terms of economic, in terms of peace and stability. So I think the South also should play a role in how to influence the two powers to look at the larger picture for prosperity and also for development for the younger generation. Thank you.
Correct. Yes. Thank you, Dato, for your closing remark. And the last remark from Ambassador Sumadi.
Thank you very much. I think all the good words have been spelled out by my colleagues.
Yes.
I fully agree with them. I would like only to remind once again that this Global South movement is still moving.
Still movement.
It's
Okay.
not yet being crystallized.
Yes.
And it will move in, everybody said later on, in a not so conducive environment of the world. So it is a challenge for all of us, and especially, as Dato Majid has said, for the young,
Yes.
because it will outlast my age, I think. So
Yeah.
the estafette stick will come to you, and hopefully, minimal as it may be, the the words that we have shared with you this afternoon will be helpful
Yes.
in equipping you with
Your
the
insight.
strength or whatever in
Yeah.
facing this challenging situation. And I hope, and I would like to remind once again, whatever you will become, the exercise in advancing the interests of the developing countries does not lie only to the governments, but to all segments of the societies,
Yes.
including NGOs, private sector, and so on. So whatever you will become, hopefully our discussion this afternoon will be beneficial.
Yes,
Thank you.
we hope so too. I hope you gain a lot from our discussion today in this session. Thank you so much, our distinguished panelists. Based on the discussion, I would like to conclude that maybe it is too early to say that the global side will influence the international system, but it has potential, a great potential. And also Indonesia has also taken this into considerations for our foreign policy. I would like to thank again His Excellency Ambassador Jayan Kobaregat, Bapak Andi Wijayanto, Dato Abdul Majid and Ambassador Sumadi Brotodiningrat. I'm so sorry, we have to close this session. Thank you so much again for all their participations and attention. Thank you so much. Yes, and I think all the speakers please remain on the stage because the committee will give some souvenirs and we also need to take a group photo.